Hey yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show. Appreciate you coming over here and hanging out with me like you do. On this episode, we're talking about the film Presence. Brand new movie came out over the weekend as well. Got all kinds of news. We got DC stuff to talk about. We got horror stuff to talk about. Might even be talking some dinos, man. Might be some Jurassic stuff to talk about. So, all those things and more on this episode as well. I did end up seeing three new movies since the last time we talked here. Like I just mentioned, we were talking about Presence on this episode as well. I saw the film Flight Risk that came out this week, and I saw another movie called Grafted that debuted on Shudder. I want to give all of those movies their own reviews, so be on the lookout on this channel for those reviews to drop later this week. I plan on having them out as well on this channel, man. I have a new show that I started. There's two episodes out for it now called Let's Get Twisted. This is a show about Halloween Horror Nights. It's all Halloween Horror Nights fun. The premier Halloween event takes place at Universal Studios every year. It's my favorite thing in the world. So one of my favorite things. Obviously, I love movies as well. But I love doing that show. I'm having a good time in that show. So if you can do me a favor and check that show out as well, that'd be much appreciated, man. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this review, shall we? With the film Presence. The film is rated R for teen drinking, drug material, sexuality, language, and violence. The movie runs in at 1 hour 25 minutes. It's classified as a horror mystery thriller film. As you know, we on this show I like to call that the trifecta of awesome. It is currently in theaters. Synopsis goes as a family moves into a suburban house and becomes convinced they're not alone. All right, so that was the synopsis and the categorizing and all that good stuff. And I want to start there. There's two things to mainly talk about with this movie. The first thing I want to talk about, we're going to go back to that categorizing real quick. This is not a horror movie. I know it's being classified as a horror film, and there's parts of the movie that can maybe be a little scary, but I wouldn't classify this a horror movie, especially after watching this. If you're going into this movie thinking you're getting something like The Conjuring or something like that, that's not what this movie is. This movie is nothing like that. So don't be looking for something that you can get in like one of those Conjuring movies or anything like that. Very much not a horror film. I would say more along the lines of psychological thriller. There is mystery to it when you're trying to find out what's going on and what's this presence in the house and all that stuff. Like that's the mystery aspect, and there's like psychological matters in it. Nothing overly trippy with your mind in this movie. Nothing like super A24 or anything like that with this movie, but definitely not a horror film. So that's one of the first things to really talk about there. The next thing to talk about with this movie is that it's been billed as a movie where you're watching it through the eyes of a ghost, right? Through the eyes of a presence in the house. If you remember last year, let's rewind back to last year. We had a film called In a Violent Nature that came out last year that was billed as follow in the point of view of the killer for a horror film. It was like the selling point of that movie and all that stuff. When in reality, that movie is more of follow behind the killer. It was more of like if you're a video game player, a third person kind of view where you're behind the killer while the killer stuff's going on. This movie is not that. This movie is absolutely as it is billed. You are in the eyes of the presence in the house. Like you're with that ghost. Every movement throughout the house, everything that ghost is seeing is what you're seeing in the movie. Every single aspect, every look of the movie, everything like that is from that ghost point of view, which I freaking love. I love that aspect. Like that's a good idea. And you're probably wondering how is that different from watching any kind of movie or like it's like cameras set up a certain way and all that stuff. That's the difference. The camera is not set up that certain way with this movie. Like it's set up in a way where you're like watching, like you're gonna get in video game reference. I don't like first person view games because it's just I'm not good at them, I guess. But it's you could tell it's in a different view from like a normal movie watching, which is really good. Like they really do it and they make it work very well in the way they do things in the movie without spoiling anything. Love that. I love the way that they make that work and the tricks they do with it and all that stuff throughout the movie. Like that's good, fun stuff right there. So overall, with the movie itself, again, this is going to be a psychological thriller film. It's not a necessarily straight up horror movie. It is. It's drama as well. Like there's a drama to this movie. Like it's not being classified as drama, but there is a family dynamic drama going on in this movie between the four characters. We have four characters in the movie: mom, dad, two kids. And it's the drama of what's going on there. So as and in the rating there, there's teen drinking, there's drug use, stuff like that. That's part of the story. And there's an overlapping story that's going on in here that's there's sad, man. Like there's sadness to the story as well, where I can see if you're like a parent, especially a parent of like teenagers and all that stuff, where it's probably a hard story for you to watch overall because it's dealing with some very touchy things, some uncomfortable things as well. Um, and some real things, like real aspects of going on between, certain parenting and how some parenting goes and some parenting doesn't. Again, I'm not a parent or anything like that, so it probably will hit parents a little bit different, well, with the way they're watching, but it hit me in a way as well, just seeing how, the parents interact with the kids and with each other, and the struggles of the struggle that's going on with one of the kids and all that stuff, while trying to take care of the other kid, and one kid's being left out and all that stuff. Like, it's a tough drama dynamic that's kind of not being fully showcased when you're talking about the movie, as a whole, especially that synopsis. Like, that synopsis doesn't really give you what this movie is about. Like, there's so much more going on to this movie other than families being at a house where they don't think they're alone, kind of thing. So, um, I like a lot of the things they did with this movie. I think they made it very well, to make it a psychological thriller of a movie. Like, I like the things they're doing. Like, there are some questions that can be had overall with some certain things, especially with kind of how the ending goes in this movie. Without, I'm not spoiling anything, obviously, so no worries. But overall, I did like the movie. Like, I did overall enjoy this movie. It's one of those things where, it's a different idea. Now, we've had ghost story movies, of course, before, and all that stuff, and hauntings and all that. But I like what they're doing in this movie. They don't overly hide anything. Like, they're not afraid to take some, steps in this movie and all that stuff. Again, I got to talk around myself, not to spoil anything. I say that every episode, but that's what I do, man. I don't like to spoil movies, so I got to talk around myself when talking about these movies. But overall, I liked it. Like, I've seen 6 movies this year, and this is probably my third favorite film that I've seen this year overall. Like, it's solid. It's very well put together. It's a good idea. It's that, that ghost aspect, and seeing how all that works out is pretty cool and very well done. So, to me, good movie, man. Like, I like the movie, especially when we're in the early years. The early years. When we're in the early part of the year and all that. Like, it's good. Like, I'm pulling up my list of films right now because I want to make sure. Do I have this? Yeah, it's third. Like, it's third out of the 6 movies I've seen this year. So it's like right there in the middle. It's solid. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's a good time. Just make again. I can't not to overly harp on it, but you're not going into a horror film. If you thought you were being sold a horror film from this, sorry, that is not what you're getting. You're not getting a horror film. You're getting a psychological drama thriller movie is what you're getting with this, which is not bad. It's very well. It's a good study of, family dynamics through, multiple areas, and how, parents handle each kid, and if they're handling them differently and not differently, as well as dealing with a tragedy and all that stuff. So, it's a solid movie, man. Overall, solid film. I don't know where it'll end up. Obviously, we're in the beginning stages of the year right now. I have it as a middle film, and all that stuff, but there's still a lot of movies coming out and all that. So we'll see how it ends up. But overall, I don't feel like I wasted my time watching this movie. I had a good enough time with it. I liked what they were doing with the movie. So overall, to me, Presence is a solid film, man. So there you go. Again, just don't expect a horror movie out of this. So, let's see. Going from, or maybe like, there's a horror, like, again, if you're there's probably like horrors parents think about with their kids, so maybe that stuff, but not like a traditional horror film. Let's go that way. So that's my review on Presence. If you saw it over the weekend, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Going from there, I normally like to jump into horror or DC, but I'm gonna actually jump into Jurassic news, man. We have a Jurassic World movie coming later this year, and, the reason I'm jumping right into this is because the writer of that movie, David Go, wrote Presents, man. So it felt like a good jumping point into the news here. And of course, he was part of the first Jurassic Park movie. And he was asked about, of course, the Presents film and all that stuff. And I'm not going to go into that because he gives spoilers away in that. But he was asked about Jurassic and rejoining the Jurassic franchise. And he had the following to say. Quote, because he was asked about the novel, if there's anything they can pull from the novel that, of course, inspired the Jurassic Park movies. He said, quote, we did take some things from them. There was a sequence from the first novel that we'd always wanted in the original movie, but didn't have the room for. We were like, hey, we get to use this now, but just to get back in the headspace 30 years later, is it still fun? The answer is yes. It still really is. Dinosaurs are still fun. Yeah, they are, man. I love dinosaurs. I have a great time with dinosaurs. Love dinosaurs. Jurassic's in my blood. It's part of my life. Like Jurassic Park's my favorite film. I love all that stuff. Like, this Jurassic World movie is easily one of my most anticipated films of the year. Obviously, Superman being the most anticipated, but it's right there. It's two. Like I'm so excited for that movie. Can't wait to see what they do with this. And just thinking about that stuff, like some people are like they're gonna do the scene where the dinosaurs eat the baby. No way. I'll be shocked if they do that. But probably the freaking river raft that's, of course turned into a ride at the Universal parks. That could be something they do. So we'll see what they end up doing. But nonetheless, I'm excited for Jurassic World. If you are, let me know down there in the comments, man. Going from there, let's jump into DC real quick. We've got potential casting news for the Lanterns show. It's being reported that I'm going to mess this name up. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Give me one second. Whew, I paused it so I didn't sneeze in your ears and blow your eardrums out there. Holy crap, that came out of nowhere. All right, like sneezes normally do. So, what are we talking about? Okay, potential casting for the Lantern show. We've got a name that I'm going to mess up pronouncing. Ulrich Thompson has reportedly been cast as Sinestro. I say reportedly because I have not seen Mr. James Gunn say anything about this yet, and he normally clarifies this up. But that show is building up very well. Ulrich. I'm trying to see if there's anything I've seen with him in it. Let's see, he was in the 2011 thing. I have not seen that movie. Celebration, Mando Effect, Adam's Apples, Boundless, Face to Face. A lot of TV shows. A lot of TV shows. Have I? All right, so he's been in a lot of stuff. I don't think I've seen him in anything, but he's been in a ton of stuff. It looks like he's going to be our next Sinestro. So more power to him, man. Like that show is something I'm waiting to see how they all make that end up working out and all that stuff. Again, this is Sinestro for the Lantern show. This is not. I mean, we don't know. We'll see how things end up going in the Superman world. But we got a Lantern over there, completely different Lantern, and then we got the Lantern show going on. So all that kind of fun stuff. Also in DC, we had a tease of the look of Supergirl. Millie Alcock, who was of course playing the character of Kara, Supergirl, and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. They have started shooting over there, and they showed. She released a photo of her sitting in her um, actor chair, film chair, whatever you want to call it, with her back to the camera. You can see like her hair and part of the suit, and then you can see on the chair, it's got the Supergirl logo on and all that stuff. So that was cool. That was a fun little tease there. Can't wait to see what else we get from Supergirl. The Woman of Tomorrow. That film is going to be debuting next year, June 26th, 2026. So one day before my birthday. So I, of course, will see this movie when it comes out on the preview night, as I like to do with these movies. And I'll probably go see it again on my birthday. Why not? I like going to the movies on my birthday. This year, I get Megan 2.0 on my birthday. So excited about that. And then next year, I get to have Supergirl, man. So that's going to be a double birthday win right. All right, let's see. Going from there, let's jump into horror. All kinds of stuff to talk about over there in horror realm. Starting it off with the Scary Movie reboot from the Wayans brothers. Thankfully, they are returning for this movie, and we now officially have a release date of June 12th of next year, man. June 12th, 2026. The Scary Movie is back when the Wayans brothers. So excited about that. Hopefully, they get Anna Faris and I mean, like the rest of the cast, who else would be back for that? I'm trying to think. So we got the Wayans brothers back. Hopefully they'll be in it other than just writing it. Anna Faris, Regina Hall. Hopefully we get her back as well. Um, I mean, those four, I think we're good to go. I think we're good to go there. I think whatever else they want to add in there, because I think they have like celebrity cameos and all that stuff kind of pop up every now and then. I haven't watched those movies, those scary movie films, in a long time. But that news that came out with their release days, like, kind of got me wanting to watch them again, man. Maybe I'll jump into those sooner rather than later. But I'm definitely gonna watch them before that new one comes out, because that's a reboot, so they're restarting everything. But I'm excited to see how that movie goes, man. Let's see. Apparently, and I apologize. I started recording all of a sudden. Freaking, I guess I'm still dealing with some kind of sickness here. I don't know what's going on. Like I've sneezed a couple times. I've got to freaking feel like I'm gonna cough every time I talk here. So I'm trying to stabber my voice, stammer, stacker, whatever. All right, going into the next bit of horror news here. Director Sam Raimi is finally returning to the horror genre that people have been clamoring for him to return since Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or as I like to call it more appropriately, Wanda in the Multiverse of Madness. People have been hoping he'd come back and do another horror film because of the horror stuff he was putting in that movie. And we've got good news. He is returning to the genre of horror with a movie called Send to Help. This film will be starring the fantastic Rachel McAdams and Daniel O'Brien. It's pretty good himself. The film is, quote, a survival horror thriller about two colleagues, of course, O'Brien and McAdams, who become stranded on a deserted island, the only survivors of a plane crash. On the island, they must overcome past grievances and work together to survive, but ultimately it's a battle of wills and wits to make it out alive. Again, I apologize. I had to pause again because a freaking cough attack came on. But that movie sounds good. We're happy to have Sam Raimi back. We got two talented actors in that movie, so that should be freaking all the way a good time film right there for us horror lovers and us horror fans, man. What else could you ask for? I saw Bruce Campbell retweet this or re-exit, whatever the tweet. We're calling it tweets. I saw him share that as well. So it's like anytime Sam Raimi does something, Bruce Campbell seems to be connected. I don't know if Bruce Campbell's acting much anymore. I don't really know what's going on with him, but he might pop up in it like he does in Sam Raimi movies, anyways. So that is good stuff there. Let's see. If you are a fan of Barbarian, and you know you got Companion coming out next week, which I'll review on next week's episode of the Review at Rob Show. The writer of that movie, Zach Kreger, is apparently attached to write and direct the next Resident Evil movie, man. So if you like his style and what he's done with Barbarian and all that stuff, which I liked Barbarian, I think Barbarian's now gotten into that category of being overhyped, but I did like that movie. A companion looks good. Like I'm not overly thrilled with finding out what it's become because it's kind of like a X-rated Megan, if you will, where it's like a sex bot that's come to life and is controlling itself now and got control of itself and all that. Whatever. We'll see how the movie goes. The movie still looks like it's going to be entertaining, but um, Resident Evil. I don't think I've seen any of those movies. Maybe I saw. I think I saw the Netflix one. Maybe, um, not the show, the movie. I think there's a movie. I don't know, but I saw something Resident Evil on Netflix, and like I played one of the games a long, long time ago, like early years PlayStation, but I haven't been ingrained in that franchise all that much and all that stuff. But I get where it is like a big deal and all that stuff. So it's interesting. It has my interest. I mean, I've been honestly recently thinking about going to watch those Resident Evil movies and like jump into them and see what they got going on. But um, I think restarting was eventually going to happen to do a reboot and get like a restart into that franchise and figure out all that stuff. And because it's kind of hit a snag, like the last movie wasn't too well received, and then the show didn't do all that great either. As it was canceled after one season. So we'll see where that all ends up going, but can't blame them if they want to continue that franchise and end up doing something else over there and try to start it up anew. Because again, Resident Evil is a big name. Let's see. The last bits of news both deal with Robert Eggers, one in the horror realm, one in the mythical mystery realm. We'll start with the horror realm since we're still there. Robert Eggers will be reteaming with Focus Features, who he's been working with and had a ton of success, especially more recently with Nosferatu. His next film with them will be a film called Werewolf, spelled Werwulf, and it will be getting a Christmas Day 2026 release. Didn't see much other information about that. Of course, we did have a Wolfman movie that just came out that people are not too overly enthused about. You can go check my review out from last week. But, you know, Robert Eggers has been doing good work. I like his Nosferatu, so I'm excited to see what kind of werewolf movie he's going to be giving us because that dude takes some chances. And normally they end up working pretty well. So be on the lookout for Robert Eggers' Werewolf, starring Bill Skarsgård as the werewolf. I'm just kidding, but maybe who knows? It's a possibility. It's always a possibility, right? And then going from there, last bit of news involves Robert Eggers as well, as it has been announced that he is set to write and direct a sequel to Jim Henson's 1986 cult classic fantasy movie Labyrinth. That's a big deal right there, man. So I I'm excited that they're doing at least a sequel instead of freaking remake, because that's been something that's been high class. And again, I'm not somebody who hates movies being remade, but I kind of like the idea of them doing a sequel. Now, I don't know what route they're going to go with in this. Will Jennifer Connelly return in it? Sadly, David Bowie's no longer with us, so we won't be able to have him unless you do some kind of weird CGI, AI kind of thing, which, if you get the families right, I guess it's okay, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So we'll see. Will, Jennifer Connelly return? Will the baby return? Who will return in this movie is the question. But seeing that it is a sequel, it's got to do with the first one somehow, right? So, again, Robert Eggers has been doing a good job. I think a lot of people trust him with things. So him doing a sequel to Labyrinth, man, that could be a good call. Like that could be a good move for them over there. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water. I'm trying to get through this without coughing on you again, and I've paused it every time I was about to cough. So, thankfully, that's the end of the news, which means we're at the end of the episode. I don't know what's going on, but I had a good time with this episode. Hopefully, you did as well, even though I've been going through all the nonsense. Again, my thoughts on Presence are it is a solid movie. Don't go into it expecting to get a straight up horror haunting film. Anything like that. It is not a horror haunting film by any means at all. It is more of a family drama thriller movie, psychological thriller, but overall solid movie. It is very much in the view of the ghost, so it's not like in a violent nature. It is actually in the view of the ghost as it's being billed. And then we got all your news. You got fun Jurassic stuff, DC stuff, and horror stuff to talk about. Robert Eggers stuff to talk about, man. So appreciate you all as always taking the time to listen to this show. I have a good time doing the show, and hope you have a good time with the show. Thankful for anybody who supported this. I'm thankful for anybody that's subscribed to this channel. I appreciate that a lot. Like this show is a passion project for me that I just do every weekend. And thankful for anybody taking the time to listen to this show and all that stuff, man. So appreciate you all. I always like to end the show with some positivity, man, and just like to always remind you that you do matter, that you are incredibly important. Trust yourself, believe in yourself. You are very, very capable of incredible things. So, man, so keep believing in yourself, keep fighting for those dreams, keep chasing those dreams, keep going after what you hope to be. So, keep fighting, always keep fighting, stay strong, believe in yourself, chase those dreams, live those dreams. You're going to be able to accomplish them, man. I believe in you. Believe in yourself, trust yourself, love yourself. And as always, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers turn on that light, man. Talk to you all next episode.